Okay, so welcome another Wednesday, another AI Clubhouse, and I'm here, Ginger Bell, Scott Schang. Hello, Steve Richman, who is calling in from Colorado Springs. That's why your background's different. The wonderful room in the Broadmoor. The Broadmoor's beautiful.
Look, they got me the Broadmoor water. I got everything
You
going.
are set. I love it. Well, I'm excited for our guest today. So let me introduce Anthony Balsamo with Vonk Digital. So Anthony, thanks for hopping on.
Thank you. This is great. Nice to hang with you guys for a little bit today.
Absolutely. So Anthony and I were doing calls a couple of weeks ago about websites for a client of mine who needed a new website. And as we were going through the conversation, and we're going to talk about Vonk Digital and all of the services that they provide, which are phenomenal. But of course, we got on the conversation of AI, and we're just talking about how it has an impact on searches, on your website, on content, and all of the things that we love to talk about. So I said, Anthony, we need to get you onto our podcast. So thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. No, this is great. Yeah, I think it's an interesting topic. I sent an email out, so hopefully there's some people watching from the Vonk Digital world that follow some of my stuff. But I make no mistake, I feel like I'm in the presence of the real AI experts. So during this conversation, I want to give my thoughts, but you can just punch holes right in them. You're not going to offend me because SEO obviously was Scott's background before he dove into the wonderful world of AI.
Right.
So feel free. This is I understand my role in this new AI universe as more of a student, if that makes sense.
And we're all that way. I mean, trust me, you are not alone. And that's honestly, we did this podcast as mortgage influencers, before that mortgage video mastermind. And we've been doing it, Scott, I think 4 years now we're going on with this podcast we've been streaming. I think we started in 2020. So yeah. Hard to believe. But it's always, and this is the thing that I love. And I'm so grateful for Scott and Steve, and Frank hops on here too. And of you friends to have this conversation, because that's exactly what it is. It is just a conversation. It's discovery. But as things are constantly evolving and changing, it's important to be aware of what that is. You cannot just succumb to, okay, it's like a website. I've got a website, check the box. It's like, it's not like that. And I know, Scott, you have worked a lot with Anthony, and he did websites you've done, blogs you've done. And so very much in good company. But let's start off with just an introduction, Anthony, of who you are, what you do, so our audience knows that.
Yeah, sure. I'll keep it brief. So currently I'm a co-founder of a company called Vonk Digital. We are a website platform for the mortgage industry. So think front end marketing, and using the internet and using your website to showcase who you are online, because that's where people are. I'm heavily focused on that now. I think hopefully today our trademark just went through for this term point of research, which is
nice.
Everybody focuses on the point of sale, which is kind of like when the application starts. But it's my belief, and I think a lot of, I consider all you guys as well, that a lot of the decisions now are made during the research portion of when people are looking for whatever it is, mortgages being a huge decision, a home being a huge decision. So a lot of that is being done now before the point of sale. So we really try to help focus people on maximizing, like showcasing their trustworthiness and their expertise up front. So that's what I'm focused on now. The reason why I feel even okay being able to, push some of this information is I've had most of my background. I was on the origination side as an LO, as an AE before that. I had a mortgage company that started out as a broker and grew into a semi-national lender. So I've spent most of my time on that side of the business. I'm just trying to take that experience and help people now. My old competitors more or less, better themselves in the market. So that's what we do. That's who I am. I think this whole AI thing is nerve-wracking. It's exciting. It's a lot. I think if we can leave anybody with anything today, I would say that one, AI is here to stay, as you guys would all agree. But if you embrace it, there really are great use cases for it. And maybe we can use part of our conversation to talk about that. I was watching one of your recent episodes about Coop AI. Like, to me, that is like, what a great use case for incorporating AI to be really useful for the mortgage industry. And if you haven't listened to that episode and you're on today, I would go back to it with Ken Perry talking about how they're integrating all the guidelines. And I think that's a really powerful use case.
Yeah, it is for sure. Yeah. And
Like-
that was one of those things that Ken just hopped into and said, hey, there's a need for this. And, him being obviously a research geek, I can call him that affectionately.
I go with junkie.
Junkie.
That's how deep he goes.
Yeah. Yeah. And they now have, so in their knowledge coop, they now have all of the guidelines, and they had to reprogram and do some things. But, that's what we need to be open to, is just those kind of things and what that looks like.
Yeah. I mean, for the SEO side of it, organic search results can be very powerful for any industry, definitely in the mortgage industry. I would argue that although a lot of the terms for mortgage are hard to rank for nationally, there's a lot of opportunity locally, because I'm just going to say it, most people aren't going to do it. I mean, that's just the reality. With AI, Google has not said, or has said, that they don't penalize AI content. But when I was thinking about this, what's like the best thing we could tell people about, if they're going to do content specifically for optimizing for search engines and search, like what would be something that would be really helpful? And I think it's a little bigger than SEO, but I would just treat how you do your SEO content the same way you should be doing your social content, your video content, which is make it helpful, be proud of it, and you can absolutely leverage ChatGPT or any of the other tools for starting an idea, getting the structure. If you're as good as you guys on, I'm sure with the advanced prompting, you can get it a lot closer to being post ready. But there still has to be some level of oversight and personal touch on it, because at the end of the day, you just want people to realize that you're an authority and someone that's worth coming back for more information.
Right.
Well, Anthony, let me ask you a question. And you said y'all are so far advanced. I want to go back to the basics for a second. If somebody is in ChatGPT and they're going to post a video on social media, okay, they downloaded what the audio was, they transcribed it, they said here, and they type into their chat, create a description for this video to be posted on social media, right? But can they also create a description for this video on social media that will optimize SEO? Does that recognize it to be able to do that for them that simply?
I'm going to let Scott take this one, but yeah, the answer is yes, you can do that. What the output of what that is where I'm cautioning you to put eyes on it and make sure it's relevant, because Google actually doesn't want you optimizing AI for search, which is kind of a weird thing to say. It makes sense. They want content that they want the same thing we all want. That's the best way to describe it. They want people to value their search, because that's how they make money with all the ads. So they want people to come back to it. So if we just keep dumping garbage in, it's going to devalue everybody wanting to, the same people that are going to pump in a bunch of crap into Google for rankings because they want people to come to their stuff, are actually going to wreck the value of Google, because the information is just garbage. So I think they've already started to devalue that. But to answer your question, yes, you can do that. But Scott, I don't know if you, or Ginger, if you have any other thoughts on that, but I would say you still got to put eyes on whatever it is.
Yeah, I'll take this for a quick second. So if you're posting it on social media, you're not optimizing it for SEO. You're optimizing it for engagement based on the rules of engagement for that platform. So yes, you can give it those specific instructions. Optimize for engagement. Optimize for to stop the scroll. That's maybe your hook or your headline, images, things like that. And yeah, Google is moving more towards like it's devaluing stock photos. It wants to see a photo that you took while you were there with the geocode there with your phone and the information and the time that's relevant to what you're writing. So Google's algorithm is moving. It's not that they're penalizing it, but they're no longer, they're just recognizing that people are just going to put garbage out there. But there's another interesting thing that's happening, and it's called model share. And it's how much these models, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Meta, know about your company. And this isn't keyword search, this is contextual search. So if you have a lot of content on your website, it's more likely that if somebody asks a question, there's going to be enough information in there about your company or about what you do that you're going to show up in these models. Going to perplexity.ai is a good way to see how you would show up in a search engine. The other thing, Anthony, 100% agree. Never copy and paste out of AI. It's not going to sound like you. And learn how to take the time to don't use AI as a search engine. Don't say, write me a blog post. Give it 5 or 6 articles, give it transcripts from videos you've done or other people have done, and say, here's a bunch of information on this topic and here's my take on it. Help me create a unique content with this perspective about this topic, and it'll do it for you. And that's an amazing way to create unique, organic content, because all AI is doing at that point is organizing your thoughts.
Right. Well, and creating a voice guide too. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do on the back end, so it's going to write in your style. But I think the most important thing, and Anthony, you and I talked about this, is current, consistent content. And so that's really, if you're going to use AI, use it to make sure it's in your voice, that it does have, that a second set of eyes, that, it's something that you would actually say. But the most important thing is do it consistently, because when you have new content, and Anthony, I love about your company is you provide those blog posts every week. That's part of what's built in with your service. One of the reasons that I'm sending my clients to you is, we do video production, and having that video also on their website, in addition to YouTube and social media, that's the thing you want to think about, is having the full circle of consistent content. Sometimes I think people think, hey, I shot a video and I put it on social media. That's just one vehicle that you have. And, your social media is not a search engine. So you need to think about, how are you getting into those consumers who are researching you? And I love that you say that, because that's exactly what they're doing. So, if you get a referral from a real estate agent, the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to go online and they're going to search you and they're going to research you. And if you don't have current content out there, if you don't have your voice out there, your brand out there, they're not going to make that connection. So however you're going to use it, I would worry less about the SEO and I would worry more about you. And I think as we get into more AI, your content, your face, your video becomes more important.
Yeah, that conversation has been happening with the CRMs for years. It's like enough with the generic content, enough with the generic photos. Like, Why should that be any different on anywhere else you're at, whether it's social media, on your blog, on your website? Like, it's not because it doesn't work because it's the CRM medium being delivered through email and text. It's just because it's bad content. Like, we don't need more generic stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working with one of your clients, your Vonk clients, and he does a lot of video.
Mhm.
And so we take the transcripts from those videos and we're creating content, and he's publishing 2 articles a week, every single week, from the transcripts from his video. And then we have the ability to embed the video. And then another Vonk feature is then we're posting that to Google My Business, what's new. So he's literally doing one video on his expertise, and then we're expanding that or amplifying that into a blog post and hitting our other Google property. So we've hit the trifecta of Google properties: Google My Business, YouTube, and Google SEO, just by him doing one video. And it takes like a 3 or 4 minute video. Is like a 500 word blog post with FAQs, and it alone isn't going to take your business to the next level, but that's a very, very good way to get that exposure, and save a ton of time by only really sharing your expertise once.
Yeah. That's another thing that we should just take out and make into a short clip just for people that have no attention span, because the last two things you said are so important. All that's leveraging AI based on something of value that you create, right?
Yes.
I make a confession. When I first started playing with ChatGPT, I saw it. Even myself, I was like, for my business, I'm like, oh, this might make it a lot easier. Like the having to go through, coming up with an idea and then writing the copy and going all the way through is time consuming.
Mhm.
So I started leaning on and testing, getting specifically for our blog, getting content written for it. We got it written. I probably have 15 articles that I'm never going to publish that are already in the back end of my site because I just, after a couple of weeks, I'm like, this is terrible. Like the way I did it, I was just doing it as a short, use ChatGPT, one prompt, write me this, no edit, and then go in and maybe tweak it a little bit. That's the lazy way to do it. I think the wrong. We're taking something good and just trying to be more lazy with it versus what you just talked about, which is starting with something good and making it easier to disseminate it into the market, right?
And leveraging it. I mean, think about you have that one video, and you can take that one video and then use it on all of those different areas on your website, change it into a blog post, all of those things. And you can still leverage AI to be able to do it. But I think it's leveraging it and still being that true, authentic person that you are. So that's the thing. I know Frank's excited. He's not on the call today, so he can't defend himself, but he's excited about the AI not bots, the avatars, because, and so many people I talk to, it's like, oh, I don't have to do a video. It's like, I think it's going to be more important now to do that video. And I know for me personally, in my business, we have just in the last week had so many new client calls outside of the mortgage industry where I have a big influence, who are finding us on Google through SEO, because every week we do consistently. I do a video, we put it on a blog post, we do all of that. And so it's that consistency that we're starting to see that is so true. And so I know I can speak personally that it's just exactly what you're saying, Scott. It's like, use the formula.
Yeah. I think if you can create your own content, the consistency is a human nature issue. It's hard for people within the mortgage industry. If you can find somebody to take whatever piece of content you're creating and reformat it and do that, I think that's the real key to being consistent with it. It's just, especially if you're an LO, like loans are going to be your number one priority. If you can just block a little bit of time and then pass that to somebody. I don't do that. This is not a self-promotion thing. It would be, it's for consistency. If you can have the accountability of somebody editing and repurposing and posting and doing all that stuff on your behalf, you're going to have a much better chance of doing it for the long term with your content.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And finding the right connections too, because, you know, like with our client, John, and I mean, that's the service we provide, is the editing and the production, things like that. And the website he's on right now, we can't put his videos onto his website. And so that was the biggest thing. Okay, we put him on YouTube, we put him on social media, but let's round this out. So let's find a web developer who understands the industry, understands the importance of doing this process,
Yep.
and then put that in there. And so it's like, John, I'm excited because now he can take his videos, not just on the Google and YouTube and what we've been doing, but put it onto his website. And then we're taking it one step further and then creating an email database. I mean, it's like, think about it. How many people have a CRM that they're not consistently using? So you take that same video, guess what? It goes onto Google My Business page. It goes onto YouTube. It goes onto social media. It goes onto your website. Oh, and by the way, send it out to your database. And you can have 2 different sets for your database. You can have one list that goes to consumers, and you have one list that goes to realtors, and it can be the same video. It's just a different message. So that message that you have to go to realtors is going to be something about, hey, do you have any buyers who may be wondering about closing costs and how it works? Just shot a video on it, wanted to share it with you. Hey, by the way, if there's any offers you have coming up this weekend, love to help you with it. And then for consumers, same thing. You know, you can send it's a different message. That's where ChatGPT can come in and help you to rewrite that message geared towards, here's my audience. You know, Chelsea was on last week and used the ATM method. So first of all, you know, act as, who is your audience? And those are things that are great to use ChatGPT for.
Yeah. What would you, so we talked about that new tool from the Knowledge Coop. Like what are some other things that I can even take back to people that use us for sites that you guys see as really good use cases from an originator standpoint for AI, like amplifying the hub and spoke marketing process that I know Scott teaches on a lot. That's one, you know, and anything else you're seeing that is like really jumping out at you that people can be like, you think would resonate?
Well, one of the things is photos. We did a thing on Aragon, and you know, having not just that one photo that you took 5 years ago, but being able to have some different photos. And so those are kind of things to think about using AI for that. Headshot AIs. Yeah. And that'll give you a different look for your thumbnails. That'll give you a different look for what you're using, even on your blog posts. So I think that's one thing to be able to use. We had someone in the group had said that there are some GPTs that are in the GPT store with all the guides in there. I have not looked at those. And so those are some things to be able to look at as well.
Anthony, then, I think, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
One of what you were asking is where else could it be used? I see it as being, how can I find down payment assistance for my customer? How can I see what grants were just issued for different state housing associate authorities and things of that nature? So because we look at it, oh, this one just got granted $2 million. Now it's gone. So if you can say, I'm looking at this customer, this place, what additional monies could I get from them? That'd be a great source use for that AI.
Yeah. And the local. So hyper local is important. And oftentimes that's what people are searching for. So if you bring in an element of focusing on your community, what are even local events, if there's local events, you know, there's certain things as far as we have some real estate clients that we do social for videos. And I was talking to one on Monday and she said that she had just attended a Tom Ferry event and they were talking about focusing on certain areas and communities and what's going on. And also, even if you don't have a listing, to be able to go in and pull a listing and talk about different parts of that area. So pulling in a listing and then putting into social. When was the last time you did a evaluation on your home? So, leveraging things like that are good to be able to use social for. The other thing, Carl White had posted a couple weeks ago that someone got a lead from ChatGPT. So someone had actually gone into ChatGPT and searched for a local mortgage originator to get a loan. And when they called this person, they said, they asked, how did you find me? And they said, on ChatGPT.
That's great.
But that ties back to the whole thing about you better make sure your website specifically has current content, has your information, because that's what's being pulled. So it's looking for that current content. It's looking for that information. So being an expert and sharing your expertise is more important now than ever.
Yeah. Stop keeping it secret. You have to be out there.
Yeah. And we don't always have to talk about mortgages. I mean, we all know there ain't nothing sexy about a mortgage. Right. Nobody wakes up in the morning and goes, gosh, I really want to get a mortgage today. How can I do that?
Yeah.
So it's a need, it's questions. And so, you can put yourself in the middle of what people are also searching for. What are the schools like in an area? What's the living like? Anna, I was just in Dallas and I was staying in Highlands Park and was driving. I rented an Airbnb and I swear there was probably, I kid you not, like 20 people out at one time walking their dogs. And it's a university area. So I'm thinking, are there dog parks around here? So, those are kind of things people search for. Remote workspaces, those are kind of things. Think about what people are searching for and then put yourself in the middle of it. And guess what? Those are things, to your point, Steve, that you can put into ChatGPT and say, what's important to somebody who's moving to a new area, and then talk about those things.
Yep. Awesome.
Oh, Alan's giving me a hard time.
Yeah, I was just.
You should read his comment.
We're getting comments.
Mortgages are not sexy, but loan officers are. Boom. There you go.
Drop the mic, Alan. I like that. Very good. Okay. Well, you know what? We are at the top of the hour. And so we want to make sure and keep it to our time frame. And what I'd like to do is, Anthony, to have an opportunity for you to share how people can get in touch with you and some of the services that you offer.
Just Google us. You're going to see
go to chat. I'm going to go to ChatGPT.
No, vonkdigital.com. There's a ton of information there. We have demo site, demo video, demo sites to look at, public pricing. There's helpful information in the blog. I would just say go there. That way that's your point of research at that point. So you can go try to, pre-approve us and see if you feel comfortable before you have any commitment to reach out or put your information in, because that's what your borrowers are doing to you. So do what your borrowers are doing to you to us, see if you feel comfortable. And if it's what we have is something you need, then you can book a call. So pretty simple.
Yeah, I'd also like to say, I found Anthony, and not only are the founders incredible and they approach it the right way, it's built on WordPress and it makes it very, very easy for you to share your expertise and create content. If you can write a Word document, you can write a blog post on their platform, and it makes it very, very easy. I'm not associated with them, but I'm a really huge fan.
Yeah.
We're about to release a affordability calc that I think people could use in their content too. It does DTI calculations for conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, and jumbo. It pulls in, MI, MIP for FHA, VA funding fee, USDA guarantee fee. So it's a little bit more detail oriented than the typical calculator you're going to find. And I foresee it as a great front end lead magnet for anybody that's on our platform, or that's looking for something that they can use to offer value in advance, because that's a lot of people need to know what they qualify for. And the amount of monthly searches just for that alone proves it. It's like millions. So.
I love it. And one of the things too, first of all, you have the industry knowledge. And so I love that and appreciate that about what you do. And then the other thing, guys, I mean, it is so affordable. And, really, it's something that is easy to put in. And so even if you have a website from your company, you should have your own branded site. So those are things that I think are important to look at.
And your designs are beautiful. They're very aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
And easy.
Thank you.
They're sexy.
They're sexy.
There's the mic drop. There's the mic drop.
Well, thanks for having me today, guys. Appreciate it. That was fun.
Anthony, thank you so much. And we'll be back next week. Scott, you wanted to do something that you said, hey, I want to share this. And I can't remember what it was. So you'll have to think about it. It's like, hey, I want to do a session on this. So we'll circle back and think about that. But
that could be one of about a dozen things I'm working on.
I know. Well, think of what that is.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. So you guys, thanks so much for joining us. And remember to tune in every week, Wednesday, 1:30 Eastern time. And we will see you next week. So thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
See you.